Good afternoon, everybody. It's Super J here, and today it is now time for Super J's True Confessions from the Desert Live, episode number 54. As you know, this is our 54th consecutive week of doing the True Confessions, and I'm kind of going backwards to the style of engagement that I had when we first started the True Confessions. So I just want to welcome everybody on, and today we're going to have a pretty open and honest discussion. Remember, it's called Confessions, so we're going to be tackling the topic, the female bodybuilder, okay? Is this fact or is it fiction? The female bodybuilder is a topic that I think I might be able to speak a little intelligently on. However, before we get started, we're getting ready to say hello to the millennials. Now, we've got the millennials, Jonathan and Yakira. Everyone, this is Yakira. She is our new graduate. She just graduated from high school yesterday, and we're really proud of her. Say hello, Yakira.
Hello. How's it going, everybody?
How are you doing?
I'm good. A little sick, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, she's been trying to muster through. Seems like it's been a cold or something similar to that. Okay. Well, I had another little gift for you, Kira. It's a card, and it's a book by T.D. Jakes, and it's called Destiny, Step Into Your Purpose. So I wanted to have this card and this book, and I wrote in both of them, but there's a reason that I've given you that, so I hope you enjoy it, and it's something to help you get to the next stages of life. If you want to read any of that out loud, let me know.
I'll read it out loud.
Oh, okay, she's going to read it.
Yeah, Kira, I cannot express enough times about how proud and of you I am. This is such a huge accomplishment, but I believe it is the first of many. You are destined for greatness, so yeah, that is so interesting.
You are destined for greatness, so go forward with confidence.
Go forward with confidence, that's what I want. And a superior work ethic. Become the best you can be, best student at AMDA, best actress in Hollywood. I believe in you. Love, Mom. May all your dreams come true, and may success become second nature.
That was from JG.
Oh. Aww.
That's from her brother.
And then the card says, may the future hold much success and happiness and all you're hoping for.
Yay. All right. So anyway, Jonathan.
Wait, what am I supposed to read?
Are you going to read the other one too?
Yeah.
All right. She wants to read what's in the book too.
All right. She's trying to skip over me.
We're going to share the love and let her do this. Huh?
Said Alton says
Hey, Alton. How's it going?
Okay, so what she wrote in the book is, Yakira, I got this book for you at this point in your life because I know you are destined for greatness. I believe a little insight into the principles that will allow you to easily access your destiny in a I believe
allow you to more easily access your destiny is a plus.
Oh, is a plus.
It is a plus to be able to access your destiny.
Please enjoy the new journey. Appreciate.
Yep.
Okay. Appreciate every day and every step. This includes the challenges. Love you, Mom.
Okay.
Aww, that's
so sweet. Yeah, those were my words of wisdom to you, Kira. I have been filming and getting everybody else's input, and she really hadn't heard specifically from me, except for the fact that I'm extremely proud of her. Now, we're going to get into this topic, but before we do, I just want to let I want to acknowledge the millennial Jonathan and see how he's doing today, and then we're going to get into talking about the female bodybuilder.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm chill. I'm actually quite tired, so.
Yeah,
it's
from
been
this
a week
week,
full
oh
of
my gosh. This week has, not only have we had a lot of celebration, but there's been a lot of work, a lot of preparation, a lot of things that we had to do. Hey Digga, live on Iliad, Real Fake Media is here, you guys. They are your visual voice Go check him out. That's my brother, Digga Lee, on Real Fake Media. He is live on AF. Smooches. All right. So, many of you came to know me initially because I was a female bodybuilder. At the same time, I have many friends and family that have reconnected with me since I got on Facebook, basically. So, through the course of, I'd say maybe the last 5 years, maybe or so, actually 7, because I had my first surgery in 2010. So for the last 7 years, I have had a serious, extreme roller coaster ride of being high and then being low. And it seemed like there weren't a lot of hills on this last journey here for about the last 7 years. So it seemed like there were so many more lows than there were highs. However, I have to say this. During the course of this time, I have still continued to be able to compete. I am now 50 years old, and I still anticipate competing before this year is over. I think I see Coach James Seals Sr. from Columbus, Ohio on. Hey, Coach, how's it going? If you're in Columbus and you need a coach, you guys, I tell you this all the time, Coach James Seals Sr. He is kicking out IFBB pros like it is nobody's business. Go holler at him. It's all my commercials, right? No. Yeah, they paid me a lot of money to say, no, I'm kidding. Nobody paid me. But these are true sentiments. But anyway, as I was saying, there seems to have been more lows than there were highs. And I had a friend talk to me on, I think it was Wednesday. It was Thursday, because I had been feeling some kind of way. And a lot of it, I was extremely emotional during this week and extremely tired. So being emo and exhausted are not usually that great of a combination. And so, Skylar, stop doing peekaboo behind us. So I told Yakira, I said, I'm really, really sensitive this week, and I think it's your fault. But it's just been such a wonderful experience to just see, even though we've had some significant challenges, but to be able to see someone succeed, and she's winning, and I'm very proud of her. And I said, if you got 12 years of high school, you get 12 days of celebration. So y'all might be hearing me talk about her for the next 12 days. Okay. All right. The Female Bodybuilder. So this is the deal. When we first started True Confessions, it had a lot to do with self-acceptance, self-love, and me basically being honest and open about questions that were being posed to me. So originally we started the confessions with a question-answer kind of thing. So people would inbox me questions and I would address them, okay? So it's been a while since we've done that, but there are always questions still that people pose to me, and also things that people want to know about female bodybuilders. And I have the millennials here. Jonathan was like, well, Mom, I can't speak intelligently on female bodybuilders. I'm like, Jonathan, you have lived with one for, I don't know how, since you were like 7. So I think you might be a little more astute than you think you are as it relates to being able to address these questions. So in keeping with the love and sharing it, I anticipate answering any and all questions that you all put on the stream right now. And I'm also going to address some of the questions that have been presented to me heretofore. I will say that some of these questions are, if you have kids, you might not necessarily want them listening to the stream right now. Some of the questions are very, very personal as far as certain details that people would maybe not want their children to hear about, okay? So, and that actually gets into some things like the muscle worship, and we'll talk about all that stuff. All right, so the first question that came to me, and it's always been posed, is why did I choose to become a female bodybuilder? Now, let me qualify something. I'm going to address and discuss from my frame of reference, okay? My personal experience. So I'm not going to speak for every female bodybuilder. Some stuff I probably will speak for every female bodybuilder because some things are just myths and I can dispel those myths pretty easily. But some areas are going to just be about Super J, just about Jill Lundy, okay? So at the end of the day, the biggest question was, why did I become a female bodybuilder? And my answer to that was that I actually never anticipated or dreamed of becoming a female bodybuilder. I will say that when I was in college, probably my junior year in college, and prior to that, I was familiar with Linda Murray. By my junior year in college, Linda had become kind of like an icon in my mind. She was like, it was Corey Everson was before her, and then Linda Murray, when she came along, I was just so impressed by their physiques, but also by their presence and their presentation. They were feminine women, in my opinion, and they were beautiful, okay? So the only real connection or familiarity that I had with female bodybuilders were actually Linda Murray and Corey Everson. Okay, so not a whole lot of history, not a whole lot of experience. What actually happened was bodybuilding chose me. Okay, I actually did not ever choose to be a bodybuilder outright. Like that was what I decided I wanted to do, and I went that direction. What happened was I decided that I wanted to be a competitor. All right, and I was 35 years old at the time when I did my first competition. Well, I actually turned 36, but at 35 years old, I had become a fitness professional, and I was working in the Maryland area. In fact, I was in Baltimore, the Baltimore area, Towson to be specific. And there was a gym that I was working at, and many of the trainers who were coming through there, not necessarily working there, were actually competitive bodybuilders. Okay, there was the gym, Gold's Gym in the Inner Harbor at Baltimore, and then also in Timonium. There was all three of these were connected, and then the one that I was at, closer to Towson. So I had one particular coworker. Her name, she's IFBB Pro, Danielle Hollenshade. You guys can look her up. She's awesome. I think she's a nurse now, but she may still do some fitness, professional nutrition kind of stuff. But she was great. Danielle actually began to do figure competitions. And in the early stages, I didn't really understand what the difference between the categories was. I had no idea. But I felt like, you know what? I'd like to do this. I saw what she was having to do, like she was doing cardio, she was always eating, she was eating tuna fish and, just some strange things. So that part of it, I was like, ugh, okay, well, what's that all about? But I also saw the dedication that led to this superior transformation and this superior physique. And because I've always been somewhat competitive, but always athletic, at 35, I wanted to do something that I felt that I could do. So what I did was I was introduced to IFBB Pro, who's now IFBB Pro, and he has gone on. He's passed away. His name is IFBB Pro Warren James. Now, when I met Warren, he was a recovering addict at the time, and he was actually going into his 1 year sober. Now, many of the people in the area knew of Warren, and so many of them actually thought that he wasn't even with us anymore because he had kind of dropped out of the scene. I didn't know any of this stuff. But anyway, at the end of the day, I met Warren James. Warren became my very first coach, and he became my coach because he was a bodybuilder, obviously. And I told him that I wanted to compete. And what I said, because I only knew Danielle, so I only knew of figure, I said I want to be a figure competitor. So Warren laughed at me. He's like, okay, that's a joke, right? And I'm like, no, it's not a joke. He's like, you're not a figure competitor. Do you know what you would have to do to your body to become a figure competitor? Now, at this point, I had no training specifically for bodybuilding, none. I was just a fitness professional. I had become a trainer, and the only lifting that I was doing at the time was more specific to me trying to increase my strength for the purposes of security, okay? And I talked about that story, I think, last week. But anyway, so Warren, he was like, no, you're not a figure competitor, you're a bodybuilder. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? They're both female athletes, right? And he was like, yeah, but there's a big difference. I'm like, they both lift weights, right? They both diet, right? And he's like, yeah. He just said, but the development is different. And I guess he was trying to say that the way my physique was, I was way too muscular just naturally to be a figure competitor, okay? Now, I wasn't quite convinced. So he took me to Kevin Levroni's coach. His name was Ghani Wiley at the time. And Ghani, he said, tell Ghani what you want to do. Now, let me give you some history on Ghani. Ghani, yes, he was a bodybuilder, but Ghani's personality was like kind of, and I hate to say it like this, but it's either like an old school OG out of the penitentiary or like an old school pimp, okay? Which means he's just very hardcore, very direct, and like he'll tell you you're stupid like really quick, you know, like, yeah, you're dumb, you know? But he won't say it that way. He'll add a few expletives, let's say that. So I went to Ghani, and Warren said, tell him what you want to do. And I said, I'd like to become a figure competitor. And so Warren knew what was getting ready to happen. What Ghani did, first of all, he looked at me, and then he started cussing me out. He's like, figure, what is this figure shit? What the? And he starts going off, right? He's like, baby, you's a bodybuilder. Like that, right? And I was like, well, what does that mean? And Warren is cracking up because Ghani is like just cussing me out, right? Because I'm asking, well, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Why do I have to be a bodybuilder? And so he went through this litany of, you have to literally kill yourself to become a figure competitor. And I was like, well, I seen Danielle do it. She didn't kill herself. So I was pouty, and Warren cracked up, and he was like, so what do you want to do? And I said, let's just start training, okay? Now, fact or fiction here? Fiction or fact? Here's one of the questions. So I start training. I'm a brand new bodybuilder, but I'm with some old school bodybuilders, all right? The question, if you want to be a female bodybuilder, how often do you train, and what is more important? These are the questions that came to me. What is more important, your diet or drugs? Okay, now many of you already know the answer to that, okay? If you want to be a female bodybuilder, what's more important, your diet or your drugs, so to speak? Now, I'm not going to take that as an insult, because the fact of the matter is that many athletes, not just bodybuilders, but many athletes do subsidize and supplement themselves with certain supplements that would be considered drugs. Okay, they have synthetic steroids, they have all kinds of things. But the fiction behind it is that not every female bodybuilder uses drugs. Now let me qualify why that's a question. The question was, what's more important, your diet or your drugs? And that's because the assumption is that a female does not have enough natural musculature nor enough natural, natural musculature and natural ability to get lean, all right? That they have to depend on drugs. So for those of you who actually really want to know, that is a myth. That's fiction. All right? Do many women use steroidal drugs? Absolutely. Do many men use steroidal drugs? Absolutely. Do these necessarily have to be bodybuilders? Absolutely not. Okay? There are people who use drugs who are not even athletes, okay? I mean, you know, and this is what I want to say to y'all. For those of you gym Adonises who are taking steroids so that you look good in the gym or that you look good on the beach, you are making a huge mistake, all right? Extremely risky behavior. And I don't know of any females who use steroids to look good in the gym, okay? Because actually, we don't really care about that, truth be told. But I do want to send that message out to you gentlemen. If you're not doing something competitive, why would you do something so risky? Okay? It really, your ego can handle a lot more than you probably think it can. And so I'd like to encourage you that just because your buddy is doing something or just because somebody told you to do something, that you should do it. You should really consider the risk. Now, Jonathan, you've lived with a female bodybuilder since you were 7. What was more important? I'm not going to answer the personal question about me. I'm going to let him answer it. And y'all know when I talk to the millennials, only God knows what they're going to say. So I have no idea how he's going to answer this. But I'm hoping, I know it will be honest, however he answers it. What was more important to your mom as far as becoming a female bodybuilder? What did you see? Did you see her diet? Did you see her use drugs? Did you see her workout? What did you see as your mother was transitioning into becoming Soccer Mom Jill Lundy to Super J? And I really was soccer mom. Yakira played soccer as a youngster. And then what seemed to be most important? Where was her focus?
No, she did not use any type of drugs or anything like that I could see or that I know of. She's always been a workaholic, so work ethic was just, especially around that particular time, it was one of those things where it was all about the diet, all about working out, and she did that relentlessly, probably 2-3 times a day sometimes. But she also worked in the gym. She was the personal trainer as well, so it was one of those things where, for the most part, the times that we do see her, the times that we got to see, that primarily what she was doing, she was either working or working out. So
working or working out. Okay, so from Jonathan's perspective, it wasn't even necessarily my diet. He saw that I was working out. All right. So what was my regimen like? People like to ask that question. And I'm going to go back to what's most important. People ask me, how much do you train? And I said, break that down for me. How much do you train for cardio? And how much do you train lifting weights? And what does the average female bodybuilder do? Because he said, because I've heard that female bodybuilders have to do 4 hours of cardio, 3 to 4 hours of cardio every day, and that they lift weights for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Well, daggone, that's 5 hours a day, people. How much sense does that make? 5 hours a day? Wow. That's fiction. Now, I'm not putting it past some of my wonderful, beautiful female bodybuilder sisters. I don't believe any of them train for 5 hours a day, though, honestly. I've not experienced it. If you're out there and you do, correct me, tell me I'm wrong. But in my opinion, that is fiction, okay, as far as the overall general population of female bodybuilders. How much did I work out? If I tell you guys, some of y'all will get really mad and some of y'all won't even believe me. So my coach at the time was Mike Davies. When after I left Maryland after Warren, my second coach became Mike Davies from Columbus, Ohio. So I left Maryland, I went to Ohio, I hooked up with Mike. Mike actually trained in groups. He had a group style training. I had no sense of understanding of how he trained at all. The difference between what I started out as for the first 3 years, I trained heavy I did more heavier weight and less repetition, but I still was in a moderate rep range. So 10 to 12 reps, and that to failure was about where I was working. And when I say heavier, heavy is relative, people, okay? So heavy is relative in that if you see a guy and he gets on a squat machine, a squat rack, or a leg press or whatever, and he kicks out, he has 2 wheels on there. There's 2 plates on each side, okay, which would be 180 pounds added to the 45, all right? If he got down and he was able to squat 6 times, and that 6th squat was failure, okay? And then you saw a female come on, and she puts 3 wheels on there, and she does those 3 wheels 15 times. Which one of those are heavy? Does anybody know the answer? The heavier set would be the man who could only lift 2 wheels 6 times to failure, all right? Because heavy is relative, and it basically goes by sets, you know, how many reps, rather. Generally, 1 rep, 1, 2 are like power lifting kind of repetitions. Hypertrophy is usually a little bit more rep range, between 8 to 12, sometimes to 15, depending. So most bodybuilders are not training in a powerlifting frame reference. So we're not doing 1 rep maxes very often at all. And I don't really know of many females who are not powerlifters also who do that, period. Okay? But again, this is just in my experience. I've been a competitive bodybuilder now since 2003. So believe it or not, I'm still relatively fresh. Okay? All right. What was my other question? We got to keep me on track. I was talking about okay, so when I got to Mike Davies, Mike trained in groups. He trained for 45 minutes, guys. So I began to train when I became the best physique, the best bodybuilder, the best version of Super J that you guys have seen. I trained lifting weights for 45 minutes a day. That's it. 45 minutes, I promise. I did cardio up to 90 minutes. Okay, and the reason I say up to 90 minutes is because generally speaking, when he would write our cardio programs, they'd be 45 minutes. Okay, and generally we did, well, he had for me anyway, 2-a-days. All right, and most of his competitors, as you get closer, you're doing something to that effect. For me, I kind of started out that way because I was a little more fluffy and I needed a certain, he needed to do specific things with me even though I trained in the group. So it was through the help of Mike Davies that I actually transformed my physique from a bulkier version of me as a competitive bodybuilder. I'll post them up into what you guys know as the best version that you may have seen of Super J. And it was with me training 45 minutes a day. Now, when I was in Maryland, I actually trained longer. It was like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, but I was also lifting a little heavier. So there was more rest in between, okay? My cardio, my kids would often do cardio with me, especially Jonathan, because Jonathan is a runner, and Jonathan's a distance runner, and Jonathan will run 12 miles if you let him, you know? But I needed to get the stamina, personally, that I wanted to get up to was 5 miles. And the only person that was around me, and even though he was young, that ran 5 miles, that I knew could run 5 miles, was Jonathan. So my very first running coach was my son Jonathan. And he might have been 13 or 14, maybe 14 when he started doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan taught me, the fitness professional who wasn't a runner, distance runner, how to actually train and prepare for distance. And I accomplished running 5 miles a day. 5 miles 3 times a week, I should say. I basically ran maybe 2 miles a day for five of my days. I was running, so it's either 2 miles or 5 miles within those 5 days. Okay? All right. Drugs. Jonathan said he didn't see me taking drugs that he knows of. All right? We're talking steroidal type drugs, injections, things like this, large amounts of that. Did I do that? And the question came in about my growth hormone when I was talking a few weeks ago about me being insulin resistant and it being connected to my growth hormone being elevated. So the question came, well, did you do growth? Do you do growth hormone? My answer to that is no. I actually didn't do growth. And I don't use growth hormone. And honestly, we have no idea why my growth hormone is elevated. Maybe one of you endocrinologists or doctors can tell me why that is, but it is what it is. Excuse me, and somehow that's connected to me being insulin resistant. And so theoretically, insulin resistant, most of the time you think that someone has high blood sugar. They have diabetes type 2. Well, insulin resistance is diabetes type 2. However, I've never had high blood sugar. So we didn't catch it for years. We didn't catch it until recently when I began to develop severe peripheral neuropathy, which I have in my feet, as many of you already know. So I'll get into that later. So the drugs. I did use what's known as pro-hormones. I did use ephedra before. I've used that. I have used, what's the stuff called? My favorite pre-workout or fat burner or whatever you want to call it is Meltdown by VPX. They need to send me a check because I just shouted them out. But Meltdown by VPX. That was actually my favorite. The substance that I try to stay away from is also by VPX, and it's a liquid called Red Line. I honestly believe that Red Line has crack in it. So you gotta be careful with that one. But I decided that wasn't going to be the case. I wasn't going to use that. So did it give me an edge? The supplements that I used gave me more of probably a psychological edge in my mind, I think, than actually a physical edge. Because the reason I say that is because if you believe in something, it's like a placebo. If you believe in something, it'll work, But the pro-hormones, let me go back to the pro-hormones. Every one of these substances that I use, you can get them over the counter. Some of them are in a locked counter at the GNC or at your local nutrition shop. You can't just walk up and buy it. You gotta, go through a little process to get it. But you can go into nutrition stores and purchase these. The pro-hormones, what they did for me was they probably increased my testosterone level a little bit, but I already had a naturally higher level of testosterone. My natural levels of testosterone gave me the ability from the very beginning, before I even started training, to be a very muscular individual. My daughter probably has the same build and makeup as I do, and you guys have seen her. She's very muscular. All right? So without me knowing that I already had a superior level of muscularity for a female in the first place, and also that when I lift, I grow. I'm just going to grow, just easy. I didn't know that, all right? If I had known that when I first started, I probably would not have used the pro hormones. What happened also during that time, was that I got full laryngitis. This was before. This is in Maryland. I got full laryngitis when I was using these pro hormones. And I damaged my vocal cords. I used to be a singer. All of my sisters were all singers. We're all very musical, as a matter of fact, my brother included. I was a singer. I was a soprano, guys. Soprano, which means very, very high. And I always carried the melody. After having this complete laryngitis, damaging my vocal cords, and how I damaged them was because I taught up to 20 classes of group fitness a week at this Gold's Gym, and I've never used a mic, and that's because, as y'all see, I'm loud, right? So I never used a mic. I taught 15 to 20 classes a week, so I was yelling constantly, several hours out of the day, and I damaged my vocal cords. I was also on this pro hormone. I believe that the combination of the damage to my vocal cords and the use of the pro hormone changed the nature of my ability to use my voice. Now, do I have the typical steroid voice that you hear like a lot of women with, and their real deep voice? No, I don't have that because I didn't do the steroids that they did. You understand what I'm saying? But I do believe, just looking back on it, because immediately after that, after I began to get my voice back, it was never the same. So I lost my ability to sing, soprano, that is, and because I wasn't really, that in depth into it, I pretty much say I lost my ability to sing. But I gained a new passion, which was working out. So the next question was then, all right, since we know she didn't do growth, she did pro hormones, and I don't even know what they're called, honestly. I don't even remember those substances, what they were at this time. But I know that they're pro hormones, okay? And most of them were to enhance or increase testosterone. Oh, I forgot. I have also used what's known as an estrogen blocker, okay? And the estrogen blocker that I used toward probably maybe the times that I use it. I don't use it all the I didn't use it all the time, but the times that I used it, I probably used it maybe 3 or 4 weeks out from a show. Why did I use the estrogen blocker? The estrogen, as you all know, that particular hormone in women and in men actually, it causes you to hold fat and fluid, all right? And I had gotten to the place where I knew the dry look that I wanted to achieve. And so along with my little pro hormone, along with my fat burner, my meltdowns, things of that nature, I did use an estrogen blocker. Now, again, you can buy these estrogen blockers over the counter, okay? So these are not things that, oh my God, you can't get. And this is why I'm telling you, those of you who don't want your children to know or to hear certain things, don't let them know they can go pretty much get something that's close to a steroid, but not a steroid, over the counter. We don't really want them to know that, now do we? So, so I did use an estrogen blocker. It's called Novadex. You can get it right over the counter. GNC, you can go to your nutrition shop. They'll have it. Trust me, they got it. Okay? And so, actually, it's a form of, okay? It's probably not the real Novadex, because the real Novadex is I think it's, in the prescription form, it is something that they give to cancer patients. So, the stuff you get over the counter, they're calling it that, but it's not probably the real stuff. Okay, let me take a quick social media break and see if you guys are asking me any questions. Let's see. Okay, Ivan said, I've heard that when body fat is super low, that the menstrual cycle halts. I've understood this to be a bad thing, but then I heard from another competitor that she'd gone years without her cycle. Have you experienced this? If so, what was your experience? Okay. So, oops, let me move this back over. Hold on a minute, guys. All right. So, are you still in there, John? That question, the answer to that is actually facts. Okay? That's not fiction. Let me say what I say to women who come to me that want to train and who say they want to be bodybuilders or they want to do whatever. 10 to 12% body fat is considered essential body fat for women. Men, which is crazy, they can be between 1 and 3%, and that's essential for them. So 1 to 3, all right? But essential body fat for female is 10 to 12%. And I usually say, just to make sure you keep working out like you keep your female. And that was a joke that I used. Having your body fat drop lower than that does not make you a female anymore, but you will lose your cycle. And the funny thing is, you'll probably lose it, I would say, between 10 and 12. For some women, they will lose it right around 10%. When they go under that, it's definitely going to be gone for the most part. Now, does it stay gone? No, it doesn't, unless you stay that lean. And that's why for the female, it is not, in my opinion, healthy to stay beneath essential body fat year round. Okay? Hold on a second. Let me fix this. It's bothering me. Okay. So, it is not, in my opinion, now you're not being healthy. And do I do this because of just aesthetics? No, I liked the lifestyle. I wanted to live a healthier lifestyle. And so that also bought into how I conducted myself. So yeah, your menstrual cycle will stop. Now, what's interesting is I'm postmenopausal. Now, and I've been postmenopausal now for 2 or 3 years, which means I hit menopause at 46, 47. So I really believe that I prematurely hit it, and it could be because I would drop my body fat down so low, so much, okay? I don't keep it down there, but I would go up and down, and up and down, and up and down. You guys have seen it. I'm up right now. But I'm getting ready to go down, okay? And so for me, I honestly believe and feel like I can attribute, and that might be what's going on with my growth hormone too. I have to ask an endocrinologist. That's a good question. Yeah, that happened. Okay. You got any questions on yours? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Any other questions? Yes, Lundy is a workaholic. She either talks about family or protein. That's funny, Alton. Mama Bear is a beast. Oh, hey, Garrett. What's up, Halter? And then Alton answered the question of what's more important as diet. I'm going to get to that. Hey, Brother Ruel. That's my big brother, Ruel. He is the author of the book Lessons Beneath the Mask, From Pain to Promise, everybody. Hey, Hump. What's up, Miss Tracy Seegers? All these Ohio folk, I love you guys. Uncle Digga says that he loves you, Yakira. He salutes you, and you are a fly grad live on Illy Ave. Okay. All right. The next question, Ivan, since you went here, I'm going to go here. Parents, if you don't want your kids to hear something else, send them out the room. All right. Happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the fathers on my stream, and thank you for sharing some of your day with me. I appreciate that. All right. I get this question all the time. Jonathan won't know the answer to this question. But the question has always been, for female bodybuilders, is it a fact that female bodybuilders' genitalia changes because they're female bodybuilders? Some of it, they believe it's attributed to drugs or whatever, but some people just say, if you drop your body fat down that low and your testosterone goes high, does the female bodybuilder's genitalia change? All right, so this one is a little challenging. This is a difficult one because when you say change, what are you talking about? I know what the question is and I'm going to get to it. But the question would be, well, what do you mean change? The female genitalia, does it change? My question is, does the male genitalia change? And so what's interesting is some people say that it is a fact and it is true that the male genitalia changes, okay? That the penis actually gets smaller. Look, I'm just saying, I don't know that that's a fact, honestly. It might be. It probably is, because I've seen a few guys that have been like, woo, like D-balling and all this other, like really hard steroids for years. And these are actually powerlifters. I'm not really seeing or talk to bodybuilders about it, but powerlifters. And they have, shared with me that their genitalia does indeed change. Their penis got smaller, guys. Okay, so watch, for those of you who are taking the steroids in the gym, I'm telling you, their penis got smaller. They told me that. I didn't find that, I don't know, but they told me that. Does a woman's genitalia change? You're probably talking specifically about things that you can see, okay? The difference between the male genitalia and the female genitalia is that most of the male genitalia is on the outside, okay? But the female's reproductive organs and all that stuff is primarily on the inside. All right, so what they're talking specifically about is the clitoris, all right? Does it change? Does it get smaller? Does it get bigger? What happens? Fact or fiction? All right. So there is some fact, in my opinion, to that, that the clitoral area becomes enlarged. And it was funny, the joke I used to make, and I apologize, I'm not disrespecting any females who do this or, but I used to say, I'm not going to use these steroids because I'm not trying to grow a pinky. I don't want a pinky down there. I like what I got, And so, but what's more interesting, and I can be personally and speak about it, I'm not sure if mine changed. And the reason, I know it didn't get smaller, but what I actually think happens, because I surely didn't take enough steroids to have it grow, okay? And I don't know that it grows. I'm just saying, it's the same tissue that's in the penis, though, okay? But I don't know if it really does or if it doesn't. I have seen pictures of females who've used large amounts of steroids, and they have what I say looks like a little pinky or even a thumb down there. I didn't want to join that party. I don't know. I think what actually happened is as you get leaner, like we have fat all around there. And women, we carry a lot of our fat, of course, around the hips, the butt, the thigh, all in that area. As I got leaner, what I'm going to say is you could just see it quicker, easier. You had easier access to it. Okay? And what I mean by easier access, I didn't have the extra layers of meat, so to speak, anywhere around it. Okay? So it was very easily accessible. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Did it grow? I honestly don't know because I don't know what it started like. I honestly don't know where it started. Do I have a pinky? Well, if anybody is on here who's actually seen it, you can confirm or deny whether Super J has a pinky or not. But I'll tell you, I don't. If I lie and somebody's seen it and says that I'm lying, say I'm lying right now. Super J doesn't have a pinky. All right, I have a pinky on both my fingers, and I got a pinky toe on both of my feet. That's the only way you're going to find, that's the only place you'll find a pinky on Super J. Okay, so for me, it's fiction in that, but I didn't take enough supplemental, steroidal stuff to really probably have that effect anyway. So for me, it's fiction. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos, and I'm assuming that probably happened because of some steroidal use, but I don't know which ones, okay? All of them will not necessarily do that, okay? So it's possible that some females who are using certain drugs, that it happens to them because they're using that specific drug, okay? And only that specific drug would cause that result, all right? So I will say it's fiction 80% of the time, okay? But you can see it and access it much easier 100% of the time. That's why men like female bodybuilders, truthfully, and some women, just saying. Okay. Speaking of the women, are female bodybuilders gay? Is it a group of lesbians who want to be men? Are we all female impersonators that we're really dudes at heart? Are we gay? And if you're a female bodybuilder, does it make you gay? Like, do you turn gay? Y'all know the answer to that. Come on. Come on. Look, I'm going to just say this. I have met more gay male bodybuilders than I have encountered female bodybuilders. Hands down. And in fact, I only know positively of about 3 out of a couple hundred that I've met. All right? 3 who proclaim and profess to be lesbian. I think that's just the general population percentage, okay? So however many people in our whole population are gay, in that particular community, you'll probably find the same percentage. I don't know, maybe not, because I think in our general population, a lot of folk are gay. I really do. I also believe that there's a continuum. So, what is gay? What is homosexual? I don't necessarily believe that. So now I'm going to get corny, and maybe some of my homosexuals will get offended by this. My lesbians may get offended by this. But I honestly don't believe anybody is 100% homosexual or 100% heterosexual. I do not believe it is black and white like that. I believe that there is a continuum that has to do with preferential or what causes you to be excited on a lot of different levels. Okay, so I just don't believe in it. Now, those who are profess to be hardcore lesbians and hardcore homosexuals, if you've ever had a baby or made a baby, you're not 100%, okay? Because I believe if you are 100% homosexual, you will not have anything to do with the other gender as far as intimacy and physicality and sexual stuff. You're not going there because that's not what you want. I don't know of very many who have never been intimate on any level. I'm not talking penetration. I'm just saying intimate with someone of the opposite gender at some point in time. You may have found that you didn't like it necessarily, that did not become your preference, that you liked something else, but at some point there was something about it that attracted you. All right? So that's my talk on homosexuality. I'm not one, so I really don't know. But it is fiction that all female bodybuilders are just females who want to be dudes. The other part of that is most female bodybuilders don't look like dudes. Okay? Just because you have muscles doesn't mean you're a man or even want to be a man. Because What about the men who don't have a lot of muscles? Does that mean that they're women? So all of y'all males that hate and say, she just wants to be a man because she got all those muscles, I hope you have a whole lot of them. Because if you don't, then I'm going to ask, what's in between your legs? How about that? Are you wanting to be a female because you don't have muscles? Now, of course, that's just personal to me but no, I've never been called a dude before either. So, but I know and I see and I hear and I understand, but that's fiction, all right? Is there a lot of bisexuality? Yo, is there bisexuality in the population? Bisexuality is becoming a fad right now, as a matter of fact. You can't go to a daggone movie without seeing bisexual engagement. They love to show lesbian engagement. Y'all love the girl-on-girl action all day long. You can't turn on hardly anything without seeing that. And I'm not saying that it's right, wrong, or indifferent. What I'm saying is the population at large has all of this stuff. So just because you're a female bodybuilder is not going to say that you're lesbian, that you are bisexual, any of that. That's fiction. If you are lesbian or bisexual, I bet you were that before you became a bodybuilder. What are your thoughts? And by the way, bodybuilders, figure competitors, women's physique competitors, and women's bodybuilding, those are all female bodybuilders. All of them. We all train lifting weights, we all diet like crazy, and we all do cardio. It's all the same. The body just develops differently. Excuse me. What are your thoughts?
What's the question?
Do you think the majority of females that you encounter who are bodybuilders are gay or bisexual?
No, I don't think I got a lot of bodybuilders. So,
well, you do, because you have a lot of the fitness models as your friends. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
everybody categorizes a female bodybuilder. That's the fiction too. What I just said about women's physique, they're actually closer to bodybuilders now because they're getting bigger and bigger. But women's bodybuilding, women's physique, and figure competitors, they are all bodybuilders. They are all female bodybuilders. We just develop differently, but we're all female bodybuilders. So you have met some, but they just weren't categorized as.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't go as hard, nor do they do the same things in a general sense. Like, the ones that are my friends, it's not like they're competition ready. Most of them don't compete. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same because they're not doing it for that particular reason. They do build the body, but they build it like I do, just to be healthy. So it's not the same category as a lifestyle choice. That's I'm like I really wouldn't know anybody knows that that's their lifestyle. That's what they've done to compete. Because I wouldn't. I know people that want to be healthy. That's my friends. I know a lot of people that are healthy and like to do active things to be healthy. And that is in a form of building the body or sculpting the body in certain ways. And some people might be a little more into it than others, but I don't really have too many friends that are just outright bodybuilders. That's their lifestyle. That's what they do. I don't really.
Now he just used a word that actually brings up another question: is bodybuilding a lifestyle? Jonathan, you've lived with a female bodybuilder since you were 7. Do you think that bodybuilding is a lifestyle, or do you think it's just a hobby?
It's a lifestyle. It's definitely a lifestyle. That's why I'm not one.
Yeah, he watched me. I don't know. Why do you say it's a lifestyle?
It's a lifestyle because everything that you do, it has to encompass around that. You're dieting, working out. You look like that's where
no
they get
social
the
life.
That's where they get the thing gym rat from. They get that because that's literally everything about them has to do with the gym, has to do with fitness, has to do with all that stuff. I respect it because it's what they do and whatever, but That's not me, and that's not really what I hang around. I don't really like it like that. So, I'm good enough to, like I said, to be healthy and be strong and to be able to do my job in the military. But, is it a lifestyle? If you going that far, yeah. It's definitely a lifestyle. It encompasses everything you do. It becomes your life.
That's the definition of your lifestyle for you?
Pretty much. Anything that if you had, let's say, school and all this other stuff, you had all this stuff going for you outside of fitness, and all of a sudden you want to become a bodybuilder, you're going to recognize very quickly that's going to change. Plain and simple. That's going to be, if you want bodybuilding to be your thing, and that's really what you want to do, and you're trying to compete and all this other stuff, you want to be the best at it, you're going to realize very quickly it's going to have to become a lifestyle.
So what kind of things did you witness with me that would make you really confident that, yeah, no, Mom, you lived a lifestyle this way? Did you see something that was different from before I was a bodybuilder to after I became a bodybuilder? Did I change a lot?
See,
that's going to go into the next question.
That's kind of hard for me to say, too, because like I said, she's a workaholic. So it's hard for me to say that changed because
I just put the work towards something else.
Obviously, yeah. It's essentially just like you move from one piece of work to the other piece of work, but she was always in fitness too. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh well, you weren't already a part of the lifestyle. You just moved it to one thing that was within the same thing. You just started to focus on it a little bit more, but it was always there. So I don't know. When it came to us, we pretty much were always in the gym too.
They were raised in the gym, basically.
We were at the kids center dang near every day. After that, we would move kids centers because we were moving gyms. So I mean, I don't know any difference. That's my thing. I mean, it's always been that way for me. I don't know no better. I don't.
So for
I've never seen any changes or anything because it's always been that way. Like I said, you may not have been as focused on it, but it was always there. It was you were a personal trainer since I was born.
So what's funny is if there's anybody on here who knew me in college or before college, like high school through college age, that time of my life, was I what you see today then? I will say probably not. It is a lifestyle change. I do agree that is fact. That bodybuilding for the female and the male, for any of us, it is a fact that it is a lifestyle. Is it a lifestyle that you can come in and go out of? Not exactly. Are there repercussions of trying to yo-yo in and out? Absolutely. That's why you can't really, you either make it your lifestyle or you don't. Because if you don't, you'll make yourself sick. Okay? Let me see. Another question.
They're not questions.
Hey guys, how's it going? You're very welcome. And John Ballard said, yes, bodybuilding is a lifestyle. Hey, Miss Erica. Now, I forgot that last question I was getting ready to address when you were talking about, what did you say? Where's that question? Oh, okay. This is another sex question. Is sex/intimacy better or different for female bodybuilders? I don't really understand that question. So if anybody understands that question, shoot it to me and help me understand what they're really asking. If you're a female bodybuilder, is sex or intimacy better? So I think I know what they're talking about. Let me say this. There's two sides of that. Sex is one thing. Intimacy is a different thing. Intimacy, in my opinion, has to do, honestly, with your personality and how engaging you are with people in general, okay? Not just a significant other. I'm a very intimate/passionate type of person. So many of my friends who are on here right now who've been around me, they will tell you, yeah, Jill will sleep in the bed with me. will Jill be having sex with you? No. So in my opinion, they're actually separate. But I love being close. I love feeling close. And I really like men. I really like feeling close to men. I'm not going to lie. Do I sleep better when I have a man in the bed with me? Absolutely. Do I want to always be having sex with him? Probably not. If I do have sex with him, am I going to be spooning all night? For a little while, but then he got to go. You just got to get over, move, get off of me. But do I want him to get out of the bed? No. You keep your ass in the bed, back on it. So yeah, I sleep better and I enjoy, or I'm more comfortable with a man in bed with me. Now, that's the intimacy side, but that's just my personality. I hold hands with my friends. I hug my friends. I might give my friends a kiss. They're not usually passionate kisses though, unless we are different kinds of friends, okay? We might be FWBs, friends with benefits. That's a different kind of friend. So sex, I'm going to say this. I can't speak for all female bodybuilders. Okay, this is another personal to Super J question. Sex is better when I am in closer to competition shape, all right? And I'm going to tell you why. Sex is better for me because I feel sexier. I like me better at that time, okay? So if I'm feeling sexier, sex is going to be better, okay? How is it? How different is it? Like as far as the act, it's not going to be that different. But when I'm not necessarily, I either need a guy who really loves Jill and could care less whether Jill ever is in Super J's competition presentation. All right, I would need that type of man to be there with me and to always encourage me and engage me and just love me for me, you know, whether I'm Fluffy J or whether I'm Super J. I'd say 100% of my friends are that way. They love Jill just because I'm Jill. Those who have been significant others, some of them prefer Super J presentation Jill, like competitive presentation. How did I feel when I had those people? It was discouraging because I felt then that I need to always put on a show, that nothing is really real, and they only want, you know, go get you another little fitness model or something. I'm daggone 50 years old. I'm not going to be beneath 10% body fat for the rest of my life. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So I think the fact for me was that sex is better only because of what's in my head, okay? Now, I've been off the stage for 3 years, okay? Well, not quite 3 years. By November, if I'm not on the stage by November, it'll be 3 years. So I plan to be on there because I refuse to go 3 years for whatever reasons. So I will be going down into that presentation again. Here's the situation though. I am in that presentation less time in a year than I'm not in that presentation. Okay? So my thing is not so much sex one way or the other. My thing, really, my biggest thing is intimacy. I enjoy being very close. I enjoy talking. I enjoy, and my kids can tell you, they don't know of me having much sex at all. They see people, they see men, but they also see them leave, you know, or if they stay here, you know, my door is right where it is. Jonathan's right over top of me. Yakira's right, you know. There's not a whole lot of action going on not the kind that you have the swinging from the chandeliers and, you know. I'm too big when I'm not Super J to swing on the chandelier. So if you want the chandelier swinging, Jill, you got to wait till Super J shows. Because Super J is light enough to swing around on the chandelier, okay? But Super J is not. I mean, Jill is not. All right. Are female bodybuilders insecure? Fiction or fact? That is a very, very, very overgeneralized statement. Are people insecure? You know, I keep going back. And the moral to this story is going to ultimately be female bodybuilders are people. All right? We are a specialized group of people because only 1% of the population of females and males, honestly, are going to be able to be and do what we do and be who we are. That's why we're so unique, and that's why there's all this mystery behind and all these stereotypes and all these rumors, because you very rarely really run across one of us, okay? If you're not in the world of fitness, okay? If that's not what draws your attention, you won't see it, all right? I've gone to communities where I am an alien, okay? And most of the time that I'm not near a gym or at my gym or wherever, I'm still an alien, especially when I'm in competition shape, okay? I stop cars, and it's sometimes scary because men will stop their car, get out of their car, and come to talk to me. And when that happens, we're both in danger. You know, you got to be careful how you approach me that way, because I don't know if you're getting out of your car to do harm to me. All right? Why the heck are you pulling up in your car next to me? That's like, really? Which means you're a stranger. All right? I believe in stranger danger. Okay? And it's not going to be my first inclination to try to engage you and talk to you. I'm going to be assessing the situation real quick, fast, in a hurry, and I'm either going to come off like a crazy bitch that you never wanted to meet, or you might get a pleasant Jill. It just depends on what I'm dealing with. Muscle worship. Do female bodybuilders, are they all participants in muscle worship? Fact or fiction? All right. Let me say this very carefully, because some people are not going to follow me. You guys follow me here, all right? All female bodybuilders who are public figures, who are known, okay, who are known female bodybuilders, who are muscular, they are all part of muscle worship world. Now, I'm going to tell you very carefully why I'm saying that. They are all a part of that world. We are all a part of that world. Now, I'm going to get 1,000. What the hell are you talking about? I've never done muscle. That's not what I'm saying. All of us have been approached by a muscle worshiper. All of us have had a muscle worshiper pull our photos off of our page, whether they personally engaged us or not. Okay? So the reason I say all female bodybuilders are in some way, shape, or form part of that muscle worship world is because they love our muscles. And some of them are real fanatical and some of them real special, but those who are into muscle worship are going to look for muscular women, muscular men. That's the other piece of it. So the fact is, yes, we're all probably part of the world, but do we all practice and participate? Are we all DOMs? No, that is not the truth. That's fiction. But I do believe it is fact that we have all been pulled into that world, because just by virtue of the name, muscle worship, that just kind of makes us there. So are we in control of who worships us? No. But do we get worshipped? Yeah. And I have a little bit of an issue and a problem with it. I get kind of I don't practice or do sessions. That's a better, I don't do muscle worship sessions. I've dated some muscle worshipers, and to an extent, they can make me very uncomfortable, okay? Again, the funny thing is the muscle worshiper, though, doesn't care. If the bigger I am, the better for most of them, especially those who have stenolagia, okay? They just, the show of muscle and the show of strength, you know, excites them. So for them, the bigger you are, especially as a female, the better. That's why you see all these cartoons and these pictures of these super, like, you know, cartoon, blown out females that are just, you know, really looking really strange, and they dwarf, and the man next to them is little and puny. Because I will say what I've learned is that many of those men, when it's that way, they want to feel, they want to be inferior. They believe they are smaller. They are worth less. They are, you know, than this female. They call them a goddess. You know, and that's why they use that word. They are something to be worshipped and esteemed and put on these pedestals. It is fiction that all female bodybuilders participate. But we are all part of that world. I believe it. Okay? And it's actually involuntarily. All right? I think I've covered most of what people have usually asked me and have sent to me. Are there any questions, any other questions on there that I have, any topic that I didn't cover as far as the female bodybuilder before I go into my conclusion about the female bodybuilder? I will give you a few seconds. John, while that may be happening, let me ask you this. Having a mom as a female bodybuilder, because there's a difference. I was into fitness, and you knew me as a fitness professional, and I was in fitness before I became a bodybuilder. What was the difference? And was there a difference? I know you said you didn't see a difference in the lifestyle, but did you see a difference in me before I was a bodybuilder to after I was a bodybuilder?
No.
Really?
It all comes down to the fact that you're a workaholic. There was no difference. Her work ethic was the same. She's very consistent, very much like me. So there is no difference. That's why I'm like, you gotta understand who you are. There is no difference.
She's like, you got to know who you are, mommy.
Like, for me, I'm the exact same way. So if I know I don't change much, you don't change much. It's literally how it was. What I saw is what I've seen my entire life. There is no difference for me. Plus, I don't really get into that world. I don't care about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's another thing that people believe that if you have children or family members, that everybody is all in it. Or that, but I'm gonna tell you something. It's such an individual sport. I drew my kids into it. Excuse me. It has been very windy here, and I had a breathing treatment already. Looks like I'm gonna need another one here soon. But anyway, because I was spending so much time, I drew my kids into it to participate with me so that I could share and spend some time with them. I also, however, gave them a lot of time and attention for what they did. Jonathan I never missed a track event. I never missed a football game. I never missed anything. For Yakira, I was at all of her, she was a cheerleader for like 3 of her years. For the first 2 years, I never missed a game, an event, a competition. Never missed it. When she was younger, she played soccer. When we got to the Southwest, she began to play flag football. Jonathan even participated in that with her. I never missed a game. Was I a bodybuilder at the time, and was I competing? Absolutely. So, you know, does it mean that it changes your life to where if you're female, you start to neglect your children? That's fiction. Roid rage. Let me talk about that one for a few minutes. Is it fact or fiction that when you are training, and and is there such thing as roid rage? Let me just put it that way. So here's my thing. I believe, this is kind of hard. I won't say it is completely fiction, but I will say that I don't believe steroids make you go crazy. Okay? I believe that, again, what they want to call roid rage has to do with their personality, a person's personality. Because, and why do they always want to place that on a bodybuilder? What about the football player who is acting crazy and insane? What about, like, really? So, basketball players, football players, baseball players, they all use steroids. Rugby, they all use, there are people in those populations, let me qualify, who use steroids. But the only people who get targeted with roid rage are bodybuilders. That's very confusing to me. If the track athletes, if they're all taking steroids, how is it that we're the only population that you attribute roid rage? So I don't believe in roid rage. I believe some people are assholes. Okay? Now, when you're dieting, you can get irritable, whether you take drugs or not. Okay? I tell my kids all the time, like he understood, tell me if I'm lying, when I would be competing and I'm dieting and I'm working, what would I say to you guys when I get home if I was having some difficulty that day? Would I just go off and blast y'all? Or would I say I need a minute? Or would I say, what would I say?
It depends on the day or what we were doing. Honestly, it don't really change between anything, really. That didn't have to do with nothing. 9 times out of 10, it depended, like I said, what we were doing or what time of day it was, something like that. She's not very big on a lot of stimulation when it's very late, whether she's working out, doing her thing, getting ready for competition or not. So it's one of those things that is more just who she is, really. It never had to do with
being a competitor.
Yeah. If it's late, sit your ass down. You know what I'm saying?
And be quiet.
Like don't be up and doing. And I'm kind of like that now as I got older. I don't really like a lot of stimulation either. I'm still very active as far as I can be hype and I can get to that point, but I'm naturally just very chill. So it's easier to do that now. Back when you're a kid, though, you don't understand it, which is why I get pissed off with kids. Not the best with kids. I love them to death. I'm just not the best with them because of that fact. I don't like them. I don't do well.
I like Skylar, I like Jonathan, and I like Akira. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. That I will say that with as being a kid in that instance, it's very it could be difficult sometimes because as a kid you can't control everything all the time. You don't comprehend stuff the same way. So on that level, there may be confusion, or sometimes it might seem like you get in trouble for something out of nowhere. But more or less, like I said, as I got older, I began to understand for myself too. You just don't do well with kids.
Too much stimulation.
Don't do well with kids.
So let me say this.
Very adult.
Let me say this. I don't believe in roid rage, personally. And I'm going to tell you why. Some people will say, she is crazy. It is a scientific fact. I'm going to tell you this. People who are competitors, bodybuilders, whatever else they are, athletes, period, who use drugs, most of them, you're not going to even know that they've used drugs. This is the first thing. But even those that you know use the drugs, tell me this. Do they hold jobs? Are they married or have relationships with other people? The thing that tells me that roid rage is fake and it's an expectation, I think it's a set societal expectation. Just like you guys only attribute quote unquote roid rage to bodybuilders anyway, I think there's an expectation that bodybuilders have, some have, and think that they're supposed to act a certain way when they're dieting because they're told that's what happens and that's what's supposed to happen. Remember what I told you guys about the psychological stuff? If you think something's supposed to be a certain way and you've never even experienced it ever in your life, well, you get into this culture, yeah, it's supposed to be, you're going to think that that's what you're supposed to do and it's acceptable. But let me tell you this. If they hold a job, how is it that you go all day, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, and you don't have an outbreak? But you go home and go off on everybody you see. I think it is selective and I think it is a choice. I think you know better and you can control yourself. That's why you can keep your job. You don't go off on your boss. You're not tearing up the office. You're not tearing up the warehouse, wherever you work. You're definitely not tearing up the law office or the courtroom. You're definitely not tearing up the hospital because we're everywhere. Okay, bodybuilders are everywhere. There's just not a whole lot of us. So, in my opinion, roid rage is fake. I think there's more road rage than there is roid rage. And road rage has to do with your personality and your tolerance. Okay? So, I would get irritable because I don't have comfort food. And I'm hungry. But it has nothing to do with a steroid. Would I go off on my kids? No, because this is what happened. And I'm saying this from experience. I have the impression, because everybody talked about, oh, when you diet, you just go crazy. And it really wasn't attributed to roids. It was attributed to dieting. Okay? So my first expectation was that, oh my God, I'm going to get on this diet and it's going to be horrible and I'm going to go crazy and just be like, blah, 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 and I'm snippy and snappy at folk. Guys, people who do that are doing that by choice. I'm just going to let you know. You don't have to be a bitch or whatever. And I'm talking male or female. I'm not just... You don't have to do that. Okay? You choose to do that. And the reason I know you choose to do that is because when I first started working and training to be competitive, I saw myself and I found myself snapping off at my kids very early. But then I also realized, how is it that I got through work all day? I got more people annoying me at work than anywhere. So how is it that I'm not snapping off here, but I'm snapping off here? Because there's no loss. I don't have any risk snapping off over here. And that's what it is. So it is a choice. So then I had a client. And I guess a lot of us get this impression in our head that you're supposed to be this way, you're going to turn into this. And some people, I'm telling you, you can be irritable, but you don't have to be a competitor to be that way if you're dieting, period. If you're being deprived of certain nutrients, some macronutrients, if you're being deprived of that, things are going to happen in your body, in your brain, and everything else, okay? But it has nothing to do with steroids. It has nothing to do with competing. However, because we've been put into that box, some of us act that out. So I had a client who decided she had been a client of mine for about a year, and then she decided that she wanted to be a competitor and she wanted to do figure. So I began to prepare her for her first show. After about the first 2 or 3 weeks, she came and told me that, you know, she just turned into a straight lunatic and just yelled and yelled at her daughter for whatever. She just drove me crazy. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, you know, it's really true about dieting. I said, no, it's not. I stopped her right there. I said, why are you punishing your kid for something you chose to do? You chose to go into this dieting for competition. You chose to train. Why are you penalizing them for being the same as they were before you were a competitor? Why are you charging them now? Because it's in your head. And I asked her, I said, she was like a regional manager of, at that time, it was the flour department of a Kroger's, which is Smith's and some of these other stores. But anyway, I asked her, I said, you're a regional manager, right? I said, are you having any problems at the job? Nope. You been threatened to be fired lately? Nope. In fact, I'm up for promotion. Really? Yell anybody at work? Nope. Do people at work get on your damn nerves? Absolutely. Do your kids get on your damn nerves? Most of the time? Nope. There's something wrong with that. So people at work get on my damn nerves all day, but they're cool. My kids weren't getting on my damn nerves, but all of a sudden now they're getting on my damn nerves. And I got to go off on them. It's a choice, and I'm going to just move on from there. If it's not a choice, somebody tell me it's not a choice. But I don't believe that it's not a choice because I've seen too many people control it. And when I mentioned that to her, she's like, you know what, you're probably right. You know, I really need to go and apologize. And she changed her whole modus operandum. She ain't never have an outbreak again. Now, what I would do, because Jonathan is correct, and this is whether I'm competing or training or not, my tolerance for stimulation as it gets later in the day goes way down. So I would tell my kids, mommy needs a minute. Mommy needs an hour. There's too much, and I use that word, that's why I said stimulation. Too much stimulation, guys. I can't take this much stimulation right now, so just bring it down. Now, when would I go off on them? Probably after about the third or fourth time of me saying, I need you to bring it down. Okay? If they've not brought it down, and I've said this two times, that third one might be, okay, now mommy's on the warpath. Okay, and she's going the heck off. Maybe not. You know, it just depended on, like you said, depending on the day. You know? So yeah, I don't believe in roid rage. I think it is a choice, but I do understand physiologically that you can become extremely irritable when you are being deprived of certain nutrients. My question is though, if y'all believe it's true, how many of you guys do intermittent fasting? For those of you who are the masters of intermittent fasting, or you do religious fasting, are you cussing people out while you're fasting and on your fast? No. Because you're all spiritual then. Well, it's the same thing, okay? You're being deprived of your comfort foods, your feel-good foods, and you're just annoyed about that. But you can handle yourself and control yourself. How about that? All right. What would you like to say to the viewers as we go into a conclusion here? Because I'm going to wrap it up about the female bodybuilder here. Is there anything, like any myth that you've heard that you'd like to dispel?
Nah, I got nothing. Like I said, I don't care about the world enough to know about it. I think that's really what my standpoint has always been, and that's why I don't feel that I am in any way, shape, or form somebody that can talk on the issue for the fact that I don't care about it.
Did you have fun going to competitions with your mom?
Sometimes, not all the time. Some of them.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes.
Some of them are just like, okay, well, I'm just sitting here. Like, why am I here?
Do you have any traumatic situations or experiences from going to competitions with your mom?
Yeah, we've talked about it.
They've had a couple little
We've
traumas.
talked about it before. Matter of fact, it's actually one of the episodes. But
where I had an accident, a wardrobe malfunction at one of my shows, and they went from go mommy to I don't know that lady. They're like, is that your mom? No. Who? So yeah, I had an accident, wardrobe malfunction.
9 times out of 10, competitions aren't for the crowd. I don't believe.
Does your mom like competitions?
Obviously, yeah.
No, do I? Do I really like competition?
You don't like the process of getting ready for the competition, but you do like being on stage and actually being able to show what you've accomplished.
So what I asked him is not actually what he heard. So what I'm saying is, do I like going to the competitions? As a competitor, yes. I will go in there, and when I'm doing my thing, yes. Outside of that, I am not trying to be there at all. I'm not watching everybody. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. It really does. So I actually don't necessarily like bodybuilding competitions, figure competition. Lord God knows, I don't like them because there's too many of them. First of all, figure, bikini, not so much women's physique and women's bodybuilding, but there's so many of them that it makes the show so long, and they look so much alike And that's a little problem for me. They look so much alike. You got 100 of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I absolutely hate sitting in those shows. I will be backstage when it is time for me to go up. I go up, I do my thing. I talk to the female bodybuilders or whoever we want to talk. You know, you might meet people backstage, have a little ball, have fun back there. But that's it. You're not going to see me sitting in the show for hours. You're not going to ever see that. Because I can't do it.
So we all hate it. It's too damn long. It's too damn boring to be sitting there paying attention to people standing on stage. I'm sorry, I don't care about your life that much. Right,
and it's not my division. Like, I'm not interested in, just like he's not interested in the whole thing, I'm not interested in bikini. I'm not interested in seeing, well, if I have clients, yes, that are doing that, absolutely. I'm there to support them. I'm going to be there 100%. But if it's just because I have a competition or because there's a competition coming up, you are not going to see me there. You're just not. I'm not doing it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what people don't understand. Like, even when I used to do competitions and stuff like that, I do my thing and I'm gone. I'm not sitting here waiting for something. I don't have nothing else to do. Bye. I don't care about y'all.
Well, one of the reasons is because a lot of times some competitors, and I won't say all, but some competitors are too busy comparing themselves to everybody else. Like, who am I better than? Who do I look better than? You better be careful looking for who you look better than, because about 10 folk who look better than you might show up. So you just need to worry about you. I heard someone write a quote the other day that a rose is not concerned about all of the other flowers in the field. They're just being a rose. They're being what they are. And they're concerned about themselves. And so I say the same thing. I'm not concerned. I don't have any competitors that I look to or look at as I need to beat that person or that person looks better than me. I just don't. As far as I'm concerned, my only competition is me and my brain, okay? Because my biggest fight is not doing cardio, is not lifting weights. It would be my brain, then dieting. Those are my two hardest or most challenging aspects of being a competitive female bodybuilder. My brain and dieting, because I'm a sugar addict, which is really strange that I don't have high blood sugar. Well, I used to be a sugar addict. I'm not one now. But I used to be a sugar addict. I needed to have chocolate. I could eat chocolate all day. And yeah. So I guess that's a chocoholic, not necessarily sugar. Chocoholic. Yeah. I'm a bona fide card-carrying member. Hi, my name is Jill, and I'm a chocoholic. All right. In conclusion, I really want to say this. I'm going to look to see if there's any questions up there. Do you have any on your stream? Okay. What I'm going to say is the female bodybuilder is wonderfully unique. All right? The female bodybuilder, that is a fact. We are wonderfully unique. We, as a whole, in my opinion, as a population, do not consider other people's opinions. We just don't. Okay? Are we concerned, of course, when we get on stage what a judge will think and say? Absolutely. But that's about it. Okay? We don't give a flim, flaring, flying freak about what anybody has to say. That's why you see all types of various different kinds of female bodybuilders. It is a personal choice and a personal process where you're going, okay? You decide who you want to be independent of who people think you should be, okay? And so we are very strong and intellectually sound and psychologically sound as far as that's concerned. I am impressed with any woman who participates and becomes a female bodybuilder. Why is that? Because it goes against the grain of society. I know it looks like it's becoming popular, and there's this fad. You got bikini, and there's, like I said, there's hundreds and thousands of them, and you got figure, which used to be the bikini. Now bikini is what figure was, where you had a gazillion, and even some of the figure competitors are either moving up to women's physique or down to bikini. So those populations are changing. But anyway, I would just say anyone who will do that, because it's so individual and you are going against the grain of society, and that's why I say we are wonderfully unique. Are we competitive? Well, yeah, but again, I believe that there are more female bodybuilders who interact and engage each other and have great camaraderie amongst each other because we appreciate each other's work, then you will find the cattiness. I used to watch early in the day before bikini, and it's probably really bad in bikini now, I don't know. But some of the figure competitors at that time, it was vicious because here's the thing, it was like a beauty pageant. And now I say we're all a little bit different than beauty pageants. But at that time, how I saw some figure competitors, because what they are judged on is how pretty they are that day. Do you have on the right jewelry? How pretty do you look today to this panel of judges? How complete? It wasn't so much their figure. It was a whole lot more to it. They had to put all this glam on. Bikini competitors now have to put it on. But the reason I said it was like beauty pageant stuff in the back was because the kinds of fights and arguments and people snipping suits and cutting shoes, I was done. I'd never seen anything like that. And this is early. I don't know if that stuff still goes on. But back in the day, there were some catty, it was hardcore. You know, I would see, people coming out and they're devastated because all of a sudden their suit is snipped, like the one they're wearing that night or whatever. Something's wrong with it, or something mysteriously got spilled on it, or one of their shoes disappeared. I mean, it was crazy. But with the female bodybuilders, you never had any of that. Well, first of all, because we don't wear shoes, and we surely not going to have a bathing suit that you're going to snip up off of us or anything else like that. So, it just was a whole different mentality. And the female bodybuilders were always very engaging of each other, for the most part. In my experience, I've never met a snotty female bodybuilder who was snotty to another female bodybuilder. Doesn't mean we hanging out kikiing and hee-hawing all day and we're best friends, but I've just never seen the cattiness between the female bodybuilders versus some of the other categories. So since bikini has come on the scene, I really don't know, because I'm not backstage with them ever. Because we're different, it's different times, and usually we're in different days now, the way they're picking it up. But I'm never back there with them. Very rarely, we'd be back with figure sometimes, and sometimes not. Sometimes they're putting figure and bikini together on the same day. Sometimes they're putting bikini and women's bodybuilding together, or figure and women's physique, then bikini with bodybuilding, or they flip them around like that when there's 2-day shows. So it just depends, but I never really see those others anymore. So I don't know if that cattiness is true. But it used to be. I'm just saying, it used to be. Fat female bodybuilders appreciate work, hard work. Female bodybuilders are not afraid of hard work, and they're not afraid of much of anything else either. Female bodybuilders appreciate life, and they appreciate work ethic. They appreciate other individuals who are like-minded individuals. The female bodybuilder is beautiful. I believe we are artists. So the female bodybuilder is a physique artist, all right? And the female bodybuilder loves what she does and works to strive to be the best she can be. Some of them have rivals, but it's people who pit bodybuilders against each other. The bodybuilders don't pit themselves against each other. You know, you have the big Phil Heath, Kai Green rivalry. I think there's some reasons for that outside of, you know, that we don't necessarily know and see. But you know that there's always individuals. They have the Kai Green pack and the Phil Heath, and they pit them against each other and have them compare to each other and create, well, this guy is this and this guy is that or whatever. And sometimes I think it gets into the heads of those individuals. But I believe the public and the media creates most of that drama. Most of it is not even real. I would say that off of the stage, Phil Heath and Kai Green probably get along really well. But you put them both on the same stage, it might not be a good day for somebody. What else about the female bodybuilders? We're beautiful. I think our personalities are so diverse and so buoyant. You know, like I think female bodybuilders have so much open mind. Like we're very open-minded about a lot of stuff. Because, especially the body, because it's our sport, we're not hung up on a lot of stuff. So I used to call myself, I do still call myself an exhibitionist. I mean, I get on stage in a bikini, right? But we don't have an issue walking around like with no clothes on. I don't know one female bodybuilder or male bodybuilder who has a problem with their body or just walking around with no clothes on, because it's not even something that we think about. It's so common. Even on site at a competition, you may see somebody walking around with no clothes on, you know, but nobody is paying attention to that. They're getting painted or whatever, you know. We don't care. Somebody might get on the scale, and usually this is men. I've heard this, I haven't seen it, but they drop everything sometimes. Every little ounce may count. So they may be getting up there with no drawers on. I've heard a few tell me that they've done that. I've never personally seen it. Females are not going to drop everything like that. I've never seen that happen. But do we have an issue changing our clothes like in the middle of the back floor? No, we don't. We're not hung up on it. So if you happen to engage us in our personal life, if you've never engaged or encountered a female bodybuilder before, you might get a little shocked, because she might walk out of her room with no clothes on or very scantily clad, not because she's necessarily trying to be sexy, just because it's not important. Okay. All right. So I think being a female bodybuilder has enhanced my life. I think it has also caused me to have certain insecurities at some places that I've never had before, but that has given me something to work on. And that is that, what I mean by insecurities is that we are judged on what's wrong with us. It's clear what's right with us. So we're not judged when we go on stage about what's right with us. We are judged, and what's looked for is what's wrong with us. So we're constantly, when we look in the mirror, many of us, and this goes for the men too, but when we're looking in the mirror, we're seeing what's wrong, not necessarily what's right. And in my opinion, that creates some insecurities. But they're not usually insecurities that are interpersonal. It's really more stuff that's in yourself, within yourself. So I hope I have candidly and honestly, well, I know I've honestly answered, but I've candidly answered all of the questions that you had. The ones that came to me, I addressed all of them. If you have others that you want addressed, shoot them to me and I will answer them as best as I can. For those of you who have friends and family who watch this stream later, warn them that if they don't want their kids or certain family to hear about drugs or sex and stuff like that, tell them don't have their kids in the room if they're going to watch it. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This was Super J's True Confessions from the Desert, episode 54. I was live with the Millennials, Jonathan and Yakira, and we look forward to coming back next week. with episode 55. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful week. Smooches. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Skylar says goodbye.